Thank you, John and Lee. That was beautiful. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook online. I am so grateful that we can be together virtually, even as we continue to be distanced physically in what is beginning sometimes to feel like an endless wash of pointless time. My name is Maureen Shaiman, and I am very pleased to serve as worship associate this morning for Rabbi Aaron Benson, a conservative movement rabbi who has served at the North Shore Jewish Center in Port Jefferson Station for 7 years. He is currently the president of the Suffolk County Board of Rabbis and a member of the Three Village Interfaith Clergy Association, as well as the Shalom Interfaith Project. He is a volunteer chaplain at St. Charles and Mather Hospitals and a guest lecturer at the Suffolk Police Academy as a part of their sensitivity training. He and his wife Isabel Smith have 3 very independent sons and 4 even more independent rescue beagles. Whoever you are, whether you are bored or exhausted, hopeful or terrified, lifelong UU or curious spectator, you are welcome here. You can chat in the chat section at any time. I invite you to light a chalice when I light mine and encourage you to sing along with the hymns, knowing we are all singing together and imagining all of our voices lifted together in song. At the end, we will leave the chat open for virtual coffee hour for a little while, and we will allow video and audio for everyone. So please be patient while we take care of that for everyone individually. We will also be trying an additional coffee hour experiment. We have created an additional Zoom meeting invitation to which all can move over after our gathering and waving at each other. It will be posted in the chat section right after the service, and if you copy and paste it into your browser, you will be brought to another Zoom meeting in which you will automatically be put into a breakout group of just a few people so you can have a real conversation. You'll either get to catch up with folks you know or have the treat of getting to know someone a little better. I hope you'll try it. I invite you now into the sacred space and time with the sounding of the morning bell. I invite you to light your own chalice or candle as I read the chalice lighting by Kimberly Ann Tomchek Carlson. Recognizing the beauty around us and within us, in voice and spirit, we gather to light our chalice. May we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. May we remember to inhale the lushness in life, knowing that we are a people of beauty.
I want to say thank you all for the privilege of inviting me here this morning, and also to say how impressed I am with the level of effort that goes into creating these services. The scholar, activist, and mystic Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel was asked shortly before his death, "What message have you for young people?" Rabbi Heschel replied, "I would say, let them remember that there is a meaning beyond absurdity. Let them be sure that every little deed counts, that every word has power, and that we can, everyone, do our share to redeem the world in spite of all absurdities and all frustrations and all disappointments. And above all, remember the meaning of life is to build a life as if it were a work."
Our first hymn this morning is number 94, What is This Life? At this time when some of us are busier than ever and many of us are forced into a time of pause, both groups may feel burdened. This hymn invites us, if we are busy, to stop and look at the beauty for a moment And if we are pausing, to appreciate the time we have to stand and stare as long as sheep or cows. Lee will play this less familiar hymn once all the way through, then we will sing all 3 verses. Thank you, Lee. This morning we will have a guided meditation, Sensory Reflection by Claudine, Oliva. I invite each of you to take a deep breath into the present moment and realizing that not everyone will have the functions to enter into all of these movements, but grateful for the skills that we do have, I invite you, as you are willing and able, to participate in this interactive meditation. Spirit of love, God of many names, we enter into this time of centering and sensory reflection. Let us shake out our arms and hands and rest them by our sides. Let us shake out our legs and feet and plant them on the floor. Let us stretch our heads high. Let us take a deep breath of thankfulness. Let us not touch, but consider our eyes, happy to have the beauty of colors, lines, and shapes. Let us imagine the beauty of the world, the flowers, the trees, the babies, the puppies, all of the things in which we delight. Let us thank our ears. Through them we hear glorious sounds, happy ones and sad ones, beautiful songs and lonely cries. Let us listen well so that we may live fully. Let us be grateful for our lips, for through these lips we receive the food and drink that nourishes us and helps us grow, and we speak the words that express our thoughts and feelings. Let us touch our hearts, for it is our hearts that we know and share love. Let us feel the world around us. In our imagination, let us experience the wind that cools us, the sun that warms us, and the rain that nourishes the earth and cleanses us all. The beauty of life is all around us. Let us softly say, each in our own way, thank you. Thank you, God or universe. Thank you, nature. Thank you, world. And may we smile in delight. One purpose of the fellowship is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting fellowship and the nonprofit organization Long Island Jobs for Justice. They are using the money in their Solidarity Fund to help local food pantries that are directly servicing immigrant communities in the current crisis and are providing emergency cash assistance of $100 to $200 for undocumented workers and families who are ineligible for other relief programs and are afraid to get medical help if they are sick. Without the weekly passing of the plate, our fellowship's income has dropped dramatically, and we still have salaries to pay. Please do what you can to pay on your pledge and to support Long Island Jobs for Justice. You can go to our website, UUFSB.org, click the donate button, and add a note stating how you would like your donation to be divided, or use a bank bill pay service, or mail a check to the fellowship with your instructions in the memo line. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received.
When I go outside at night and look up and the stars are bright, sometimes I lay on the ground and imagine that the sky is down. And if the earth should then let go, I'd fall into the stars below, fall into the stars below. And when I see the red sunset in its quiet splendor, I reflect that the sun's not going down at all, but the earth is turning somersaults. And through a sunlight sea it trails, and we are on that great big whale. We're riding on that great big whale. When I tried to grasp the simple fact of this existence and think of all the fantasies, fairy tales, and wishes, none strike me as more unlikely or magnificent than this. Hands and faces seen up close, galaxies through telescopes, crimson hillsides in the fall, and more astounding than them all are pondering minds with eyes that see. These are deep mysteries, deep mysteries. When I tried to grasp the simple fact of this existence and think of all the fantasies, fairy tales, and wishes, none strike me as more unlikely or magnificent than this is. Like a strange enchanting play of impossible dimensions,
Thank you so much, Lee and John, for your beautiful playing and singing all this morning. I'm so enjoying it. Why be Jewish? How can Judaism matter to me if I'm not sure about God? I'm not really observant or committed. Am I a good Jew? I have to imagine similar questions exist for the Unitarian Universalist, as I suspect they do for any person seeking to encounter a deeper sense of relationship to the world, to others, and oneself. Such questions often stem from a mistaken view that religion must be all rules and laws about obscure and seemingly irrelevant and unprovable things, and that if I don't know about them and don't do them, apparently I'm a sinner and bad, even though I don't really feel like a sinner and bad. And the things, it seems, that are bad don't really seem that way to me either. Would that such questioners could learn what religion truly offers. Our contemporary world has little patience for that which lacks in utility, for those things that cause us to slow down, and most certainly for anything that might suggest we, in fact, are approaching life not in the best way possible for us. Religion, at its best, is and does all these things. Rather than think of religion, at least a religion like Judaism, and I'm sure others, as laws and rules that can be observed or broken, and that may not do a lot for me, we must reject such a prosaic view, and instead see that all religion encompasses as art, as poetry, or as I like to describe, as story, as a story that points us toward the story. Stories have an internal logic to them, even if not objectively logical. They teach lessons, sure, but they also entertain, sadden, and mystify. And sometimes, simply the words themselves are the beauty that strikes us most of all. All a lot like life. No one who has lived is lacking such a story. Existence itself forces one upon us. We are born into a web of relationships and obligations and joys and sufferings before we even know it. The religious story, as opposed to that of an individual, inspires and heightens our emotions and awareness by being an intricately woven, lovingly crafted project across time and space. As such, it reminds us of our uniqueness and interconnectedness. While the story is mine, it is hubris to ignore that what I encounter has also been encountered by countless others. Therefore, first, the story of a religion seeks to tell, the story that religion seeks to tell is less so about how to succeed in life, but a picture, a song, a statue that leads us to contemplate what success even is. And it does the same for love, suffering, and just about all things in life. And what it shares about all such things, ideally, should be the tenets, the beliefs of religion. Secondly, the religious story recognizes the absurdity and arbitrariness of life, and it teaches us fittingly absurd and arbitrary ways to dance and move with that fact. These are its rituals, practices, and holidays. They breathe awe, reverence, and meaning into everything bizarre which we call living. When we know that religion is a story for and about living, we are freed from such questions as plague Judaism as to whether or not parts of the Torah are true in terms of history. Their truth, the value for being the basis of a life, is not whether Moses really heard them at Mount Sinai, just as the value of Swan Lake is not judged on whether or not it's based on the true story of a bird, but whether we hear in it true words that speak to us, if not answer for us, the big questions of being alive. Thinking in this way also opens up to us God, the force behind the story, in a far more positive and loving way than law may do. To turn to the eminent thinker Franz Rosenzweig, there is no fear of God all of Jewish practice, the positive commandments, the negative commandments, the customs express at least potentially the love of God. Concepts like sin or transgression in the religious story are thus reframed in two ways. For in the story, eating a cheeseburger is not a threat to one's mortal soul if one is Jewish. It is, for a web of reasons, not part of the story and incongruous with the rest of the painting, the rest of the score. But only in so much as baseball bats aren't part of basketball, or bullfights aren't part of opera. I mean, yeah, in Carmen, sure, but at least in the productions that I've seen, there is never any actual bullfighting going on. That is the first part about sin and transgression. Any one or two elements of the story may not matter so much at all, but consistently and recklessly ignore pieces and the overall image will be blurred, which will eventually diminish the story as a whole. The deeper level of sin and transgression is when we fail to heed the story demanding that we consider with sacred awe the obligations that existence forces upon us to say the right words and do the correct dance steps, to care and respond to all the world and to our fellow human beings when they cry, when they starve, when they love, and also when they wake or work or walk. To ignore the story at those times is to ignore being alive. That truly, then, is the mortal sin. There is so much more that could be said, but as rabbis can go on forever, even when not allowed to, let me review what I have tried to say. Our faith traditions are masterpieces of human achievement, beautiful to behold simply for the attempt that they make and largely achieve to tell stories of humanity's striving to connect to the story. Their collected and accrued wisdom and wonder inform us as to our beliefs about living and how to live out those beliefs through what we call ritual. That is, any human action taken with some level of intention. Finally, let religion's beauty be a reminder, a challenge to see the meaning, the holiness, and the absurdity of all life. Look at how we are doing this service today. Is it any less absurd than to not eat cheeseburgers or gather regularly on Sunday mornings, even during pandemics? Of course not. Such actions breathe within us our awareness of what it means to be alive, just as much as our actions to feed and clothe those in need. We embrace all such actions passionately then. Our rabbis teach, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, v'lo ata ben charin lehibatal mimena. You are not required to do all of the work, but you must not shirk the work either. The final beautiful thing about the story of religion is that we are not meant to finish it. Quite the contrary. We are but a chapter, maybe even just a few lines, but they are of inestimable value and worth. Let us live our lives in the truth of that knowledge.
Thank you, Rabbi Benson, for helping us to, as you say, live out our UU beliefs through the ritual of gathering together, now virtually, to help us live through and find meaning in this extraordinary time. Our closing hymn will be number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth, for though we are still ensconced in the chilliness of the air and the ice of our isolation, we are grateful for our earth and the less polluted air she has had to breathe this last month. After a brief intro, we will sing all 4 verses.
all once again for the opportunity to participate with you this morning. Rabbi Mordecai M. Kaplan said, "Don't merely expect to find or to believe that life is worthwhile. Make it worthwhile. Don't merely see life whole, make it whole. Not knowing which should come first, to improve oneself or to improve the world, we end up doing neither. Actually, the only way to improve the world is by improving oneself, and the only way to improve oneself is by improving the world."